You said that it releases adrenaline. I just want to be clear for those of us who are always looking for a way to shave a couple pounds. Adrenaline is a stress hormone which could make you hold on to cortisol. Please explain this so I'm not doing something I'm not supposed to be doing.
Yeah, I'm so glad you brought this up. So we hear that adrenaline and stress are bad, cortisol is bad. Cortisol and adrenaline are not bad. Dopamine is not bad or good, but it's about proper timing and levels. When you wake up in the morning and that temperature goes up and you look at the sun, it triggers the release of cortisol, a stress hormone. But you might think, well, that's bad. But actually, that's what allows you to be alert and focused all day. Here's what you don't want. You don't want to get that sun exposure for the first time around 2 p.m. because then that cortisol increase, which is going to happen every 24 hours, shifts late in the day. And there's actually beautiful data showing that the late shifted cortisol peak is associated with depression. That's the 6 or 7 o'clock. You're feeling agitated. You're having trouble falling asleep at 11. It's a signature of depression, as is waking up at 2 or 3 in the morning and having a hard time falling asleep. So you want to push your sunlight exposure earlier. Epinephrine/adrenaline, you don't want it too high, but your ability to remember anything, to feel alert, to feel positive about things is dependent on adrenaline. And your immune system, we didn't talk about the immune system with the cold, but your immune system is activated by adrenaline. We all hear that stress kills your immune system.
Depletes your immune, yeah.
Completely false. Stress activates your immune system. You have organs in your body that send out killer B cells and T cells, et cetera. How would those organs know when to send out those cells if we're not for stress? I mean, we evolved, having to pick up babies and grab things and move, under harsh conditions, and you can't afford to get sick at that time. If you ever worked, then come home and hung out with people and I'm finally relaxing, that's when you get sick.
How many times you crash
that's
after
when
a
you
big
get
project
sick.
or a trip.
Or stage health. You're suddenly okay for an hour while you're on stage.
That's adrenaline. And so deliberate cold exposure boosts adrenaline and actually is immune enhancing. The great Wim Hof, the Iceman Wim Hof, there's a wonderful study that was done based on his method where they had people do a different form of not cold exposure, but a different way to get a lot of adrenaline released if you don't have access to a cold exposure or tub or whatever, is to do cyclic hyperventilation, which is basically, I don't want to breathe too hard into this microphone, but it's inhaling in deep through the nose, out through the mouth 25 times. You'll warm up, you'll feel stressed. That's adrenaline.
We used to, I'm sorry, in theater school, because we did a lot of whatever shit, we did it called the breath of fire, and you do that, but you're supposed to tap your chest. I don't know if that has any bearing on it at all.
That sounds like a new age addition, but I'm from the West Coast, so I'm pretty hard to
that doesn't ring.
It doesn't, I think anytime we get sensory feedback from our skin, it kind of gives us this what's called interoceptive awareness, which is awareness of our inner workings. But I don't think it's necessary. What they did in this study, published in a really fine journal, by the way, meaning stringent, is that they had people do this breathing, 25 breaths of the sort I just did, deep in through the nose, out through the mouth, deep in through the nose, out through the mouth, then exhale all their air and hold their breath for about 15 seconds and repeat. They had people do that or meditate. And both groups were injected with E. coli.
Wow.
And the group
surprise.
And the group that did the breathing to induce adrenaline, right? There's nothing special about the breathing. They could have jumped into an ice bath first, right? It's just about adrenaline. No fever, no nausea. Were able to resist this E. coli infection, and the other group was not, essentially. And I'm drawing a broad contour here. It makes perfect sense. So we are able to combat infection by being activated. If you ever taken care of a loved one who's dying or they're going through a lot or sick, people will tell you this, caretakers, caretake. The person eventually dies or gets better, let's hope. And all of a sudden, the caretaker gets sick because adrenaline finally just crashes. Another point about this, the phrase adrenal burnout, there is no such physiological phenomenon. You have enough adrenaline stored in your adrenals or that you can manufacture in your adrenals for 5 lifetimes. Now, there is something called adrenal insufficiency syndrome.
Is that adrenal fatigue? Is that a fake thing?
Doesn't exist. Okay. What exists is people's overwhelming obsession with the idea that all stress is bad. Right? We have to get accustomed to having adrenaline in our system. Now, it's hard to just think yourself into that ability. You can't, I'm David Goggins because I'm going to just do it. The just do it mantra the question is how to just do it. You need to train up this ability. And cold showers are a great way. Cyclic hyperventilation of the sort I just described, deliberate cyclic hyperventilation. We're in a state of chronic stress. What we haven't learned how to do as a species is stress ourselves deliberately in order to get tougher, so to speak. and how to deliberately decompress. One of the keys to being successful and being healthy is to be able to activate your nervous system when you need to. So that would be doing cold and early in the day is the best time to do that. And then in the evening, dim the lights and start to learn to quiet your thinking, which is essential for falling asleep. And the best way I know how to do that is through a different pattern of breathing. There's a phenomenon, it's not a hack. These are neurons that live in your brainstem, parafacial nucleus if someone wants to look it up. And these neurons control a specific pattern of breathing that you've seen your dog do, which is a double inhale with no exhale in between, followed by a full long exhale. Ideally, the inhales are through the nose and the exhales through the mouth. So it's, and it would take me a while, but I'm going to completely exhale. If you do that, you lower the amount of adrenaline in your system and you slow your heart rate. Turns out when you exhale, you slow down your heart rate. When you inhale, it increases your heart rate. So when someone's stressed and you say, take a deep breath, you're stressing them out more. So
That's
long
why I say
exhale.
take a shot of brandy.
So 3 or 4 of those
Yeah.
and people start to relax.
Well, I just started doing that because I saw it on your Instagram.
Do you feel?
Yeah, I mean, it definitely quiets
total
the
wreck.
mind. It definitely quiets the mind to go to sleep for sure.
Yeah.
I just have a problem getting back to sleep when I pee, so I'll work on that.
So for people that wake up in the middle of the night and have a hard time falling asleep, there's a terrific app. I think you can access it free that's based on research done at Stanford and our Department of Psychiatry. It's called Reveri, Reveri, Reveri.com. I think it's for Apple only now, soon Android also. I can't believe people actually don't use Apple phones, but I'm from the Bay Area. So, but I hear they do. They are out there. In any case, they have a hypnosis for sleep, hypnosis is not stage hypnosis. It's really about you teaching your nervous system how to relax. And so that's a free resource that people can access, or at least they have a free trial that people can try.